We do have, according to our city staff, $2 billion infrastructure debt. What they mean by that is that the amount of money we should be spending to maintain our existing infrastructure, not build new stuff, but just maintain what we have, we're $2 billion behind. And each year, we're falling further behind. And the amount that was in the 2012 budget, and they actually put the number in there, is we're falling $195 million behind each year. So that $2 billion debt is increasing by that amount every year. If we wanted to deal with that, just in terms of what that number means, 195 million may not mean a whole lot to somebody. 195 million is about a quarter of the property taxes that the city collects on an annual basis. So we could stop going $195 million in debt on our infrastructure maintenance by raising taxes 25%. That wouldn't get rid of the $2 billion debt, but it would stop it from getting any bigger. So we have a big problem. And we're not alone in this. Other cities have problems too. We're seeing this really on a continental scale where bridges are falling down and things are falling apart and the dollars aren't there to fix. We've got a total of $16 billion of infrastructure in Hamilton. That's what the city owns, and most of it is in roads and pipes. There's recreation centers and city halls and those kinds of things, but they're really a small portion of the total amount of infrastructure we own. The whole stormwater system is now in jeopardy because of climate change, and that means that our costs are going to go up. The first connection is clearly the amount of money that has to be spent to service the Aerotropolis. The official number the city is using is $353 million. That's for the roads and the pipes and so on within the Aerotropolis, within the boundaries of this urban expansion area. But it doesn't take account of the pipes that have to be built to get water there and to get sewage back down to the sewage treatment. And both of those facilities are on Woodward Avenue, and they're 25 kilometers away from the airport. So we're going to have to build a trunk sewer and a trunk water line between the airport, Aerotropolis lands, and the Woodward Avenue sewage treatment, water treatment plant. We've already got a figure on what it's going to cost to do the sewage one, and that's $126 million. So you need to add that $126 million automatically to the price of the Aerotropolis. You also have to add whatever it's going to cost for the water one. There isn't an official figure out for that. But then in addition to that, we're also planning, because of this growth that we think is going to happen, we're going to expand our sewage treatment plant. And that expansion plan is an $800 million project. Some portion of that needs to be allocated to the biggest urban boundary expansion in Hamilton's history around the Aerotropolis. So you have to add that. So we're talking at least $500 million that's going to have to be committed in public money to make this Aerotropolis function. The city hopes to get some of that back in development charges, but the reality is you don't get development charges until you put the pipes in the ground. So one comes before the other. You effectively gamble. You put out your roads and you put out your sewage and water pipes and so on in hopes that that will attract somebody to come in and build their industrial facility. If they do that, then part of their costs give you some of the money that it costs to build those pipes and roads. But if they don't show up, you're stuck with the bill. You is the taxpayers of Hamilton. So there's a huge cost. We know that the LRT isn't going to come cheap either. And when it comes down to it, there's only so much money to go around. And in fact, we're really in a big hole already financially. So it may be that neither one of these things is actually feasible financially. But if we're going to spend money on the Aerotropolis, reasonably, at least some of that money is money that we're not going to spend on the LRT. So there's a direct connection there. Alleged solution from City Council for this $2 billion debt of infrastructure that we have at this point, and the $195 million a year that we're going further in debt, is the feds or the province should bail us out. Yes, there is some money comes down from federal governments and provincial governments, but if it comes down for one thing, it's much less likely to come down for something else, because those governments are being asked for those monies from every other municipality in the country. It would be unfair if they said, well, we're going to send it all to Hamilton, or we're going to send Hamilton more than its share. There's a share. If we're going to ask for it for the LRT, then it's not going to come for our infrastructure and vice versa. The low-income areas of Hamilton are primarily the older areas of Hamilton that need renewal of their infrastructure, where the roads are falling apart, where the pipes are breaking, where the pipes are old, libraries are non-existent or being cut back. All of the city facilities that are associated with those areas, they cost money. We're making the decision to spend our money around the Aerotropolis, because it's going to be a very costly procedure. The reason that Hamilton is in debt up to its eyeballs in terms of its infrastructure, the reason we have $2 billion debt is that we have spread out so much.